From the Israel Sports Radio studios in Jerusalem, Israel, our nation's capital, it's Lewis Live! There's your host, me, Ari Lewis. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. This is Lewis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com, 6 p.m. local time. We're here until midnight. We have a jam-packed show. We have 12 guests to go. We're going to be breaking down Super Bowl 47, the Baltimore Ravens. Yes, the Baltimore Ravens. In an upset, they were a 9-point underdog to the New England Patriots. They went on the road in stunning fashion. They shut out the New England Patriots in the second half. Not 1 point from Tom Terrific or anyone else from the Bill Belichick crew. So the Ravens win in the upset. The 49ers, even though they were on the road, were the favorites. Vegas had them as a favorite of 4 points. It looked like they were going to lose. They were down 17 points, and they come back and win. So they are the favorites at this point, according to Vegas, according to most authorities. But we'll talk about who really is going to win this game. Obviously, there's a lot of factors outside of who is the better team, who is the better receivers, defense, etc. Momentum is a big part of this game, health, also the X factor, which we'll get into later on. But on the line right now to elaborate more on Super Bowl 47 and other great things going on in the San Francisco area, Ori from Frisco. Ori, how you doing out there?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great, and before we break down Super Bowl 47 more in detail, as a San Francisco fan, just talk about where this season of all sports ranks, because you have the Giants winning their second World Series in 3 years. You have the Warriors playing pretty good basketball. Mark Jackson could be the coach of the year. 49ers make their second straight NFC title game and get into the Super Bowl for the first time since 1995. So as a Frisco fan, where does this year in sports rank for you?
I think it's the top. I mean, for me, it's by far the top. I don't recall the history of San Francisco having a better role with teams being so good right after each other. So I would say it's by far the best year, and even the Warriors, who usually are really bad, are having a very decent year. So it's been great.
You know, it's been said, and this is another variable that we talked about in the Super Bowl, the fact the California fan a lot of times is labeled as the lazy fan. I think the Ravens will travel a bit better for Super Bowl 47, but correct me if I'm wrong. What is the feelings like in Frisco? You're there on the ground. Are they as pumped about the Niners making their first Super Bowl appearance in over 15 years?
Yeah, I think the lazy fan is attributed to the LA fan. I think we get under that cloud. But San Francisco is very good fans. The Niners had the longest sellout streak in a while, and then they lost a couple years ago. The Giants sell out all the time. The Warriors sell out, even though they're very bad historically. So we're very good fans. You give us something to root for it. And they're really excited. I remember the parade for the World Series, there was 1 million people. So
wow.
And I actually think that we're going to travel pretty well because this area.
All right, looks like we lost Ori. We'll get him back in one moment, but Ori was touching upon the fact that the California fan is not so much the lazy fan; it's more the LA fan. He's talked about that there were 1 million people at the parade when the Giants won their second World Series in 3 years. That's quite impressive.
Automatic voice.
Okay, looks like we lost Ori there for a moment. We'll take a quick commercial break, and we'll try to figure out what's going on. We'll get Ori back on the line shortly, discuss more about Super Bowl 47. So stay tuned. We're going to get that taken care of for you. This is Lewis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Into the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Hey folks, Kagan here. As you know, I'm always staying on top of the fitness world, keeping up with current trends. One form of exercise that's been around for ages and is currently being rediscovered is suspension bodyweight training. So if you're looking for a way to get in shape, improve your health, and train your body to move in new ways, then the X1 by Israel Gym Systems is for you. Find out more on our website at www.israelgym.com or look for our page on Facebook, Israel Gym Systems X1. Israel Gym X1. Higia Hazman.
You're already using a credit card every day. Why not feel good every time you make a purchase? When using the HAS Advantage Support Israel Visa card, a percentage of each purchase you make will be donated to your choice of 24 Israeli-based charities, while still earning a reward point for every dollar spent. But wait, these rewards are even better than the standard rewards you get, especially when using them towards Israel travel, with the best conversion rate on El Al's Matmeed frequent flyer program. Earn double points at some of your favorite supermarkets and restaurants in the U.S., as well as discounts all over Israel. If you love traveling and supporting Israel, HAS Advantage is the card for you. Just give us a call toll-free at 1-866-6-ISRAEL. Sign up right now with the code ISR10 to earn 2,500 bonus points. That's 1-866-647-7235. HAS Advantage. Earn rewards. Support Israel. Offer valid for U.S. citizens only. Terms and conditions do apply. When dialing from within Israel, please dial 1-800-200-818.
All right, folks, we apologize about that. It looks like we're going to get Ori back on in about 20 seconds, so bear with us here again. We're talking about the California fan, labeled the lazy man fan, the L.A. fan, if you will. If you notice a lot of times in those big L.A. Laker games, you see them shuffle out before the fourth quarter begins. They kind of show up to be seen. They pay thousands of dollars for their front row seat and then take off to try to beat traffic, and they don't really care or even know what the heck's going on. All right, Ori, it looks like we lost there. We got you back on. Elaborate a little more of why you think the 49er fan is going to travel well to New Orleans for Super Bowl 47.
I think we've just been waiting for about 15 or like 18 years to go. There's a lot of excitement, and the Bay Area is very wealthy at this time, and I just think that they have the money to travel, and I think that they rather spend their money on these tickets than anything else. So I think they're going to. I don't know it's going to be more than Baltimore, but I think it's going to be closer than people think, considering that we're much farther from New Orleans than Baltimore.
All right, now before we get into the particulars of the game, I want to talk to you about some California stuff going on. Even though this is outside of San Francisco, I want to see your thoughts, get your thoughts on it. Kevin Johnson used to play for my Phoenix Suns. He's the mayor of Sacramento. He is he's saying that the Sacramento Kings will not be going to Seattle. Of course, Seattle is really hungry, really starving for a basketball team after the Sonics left 5-6 years ago. Do you think at the end of the day, the Maloof brothers, who are big-time businessmen worth hundreds of millions of dollars, are going to keep their team in the small market of San Francisco? Great fans, but that's not the primo market as maybe Seattle is. So what do you think at the end of the day is going to happen with the Kings?
I think they moved to Seattle eventually.
Wow.
I think Sacramento had. I'm not saying it's their fault, 'cause they are really good fans out there, and considering how small, I don't think people really realize how small a market Sacramento is. It's by far the smallest in the NBA, but they had opportunities to find other buyers for a while. Like Kevin Johnson's doing this last-ditch effort. And I don't know why he didn't do this a while ago. I guess he didn't actually think that the Maloof brothers were going to sell, but I think it's too late. They have someone ready to give the money in Chris Hansen from Seattle, and I don't see why they would wait. Unless Kevin Johnson has someone that can write a check right now, but I just don't think he does. And I think that if he can't find it soon, they move, and that's probably what's going to happen.
And for the Kings fans listening out there, they may not like what I have to say. Again, Arco Arena, probably the best home court advantage out there, even though the city is very small. But I tend to feel, I know California is a big state, but for the Sacramento fan, he could travel somewhat of a reasonable distance to see the Clippers, the Lakers, to see the Golden State Warriors. The people in Seattle really have to travel. You have to go to Portland to see a team close to you. And if the Blazers aren't having a good year, you're kind of sorry out of luck. I think the right move is for them to go to Seattle. I think Seattle fans really feel angry. They feel their team was taken away in an unfair manner when they went to Oklahoma City. I think the right thing to do is to give them back their team. And I know KJ, as mayor, doesn't want to see that happen, but I think that is the right thing to do. Let's talk about another California issue. This came out pretty recently. Tim Brown, who did win a Heisman Trophy at my Notre Dame, not that I'm alumni there, but everyone knows who listens to the show, I'm a fan of the Fighting Irish, claims that Coach Callahan in the Super Bowl against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost the game on purpose, that he sabotaged the game by switching the game plan 36 hours before kickoff. What are your thoughts about that? Do you realistically think it's reasonable to think that Coach Callahan sabotaged a Super Bowl?
I don't know if it's reasonable in the sense that he's a paid head coach, and it would seem unbelievable. But the circumstances were very weird in that he was John Gruden's guy. Gruden leaves Tampa Bay, and then they play Tampa Bay the next Super Bowl. Those are very weird circumstances to begin with. The fact that Gruden knew everything that there was going to be thrown at him, because he coached the year before and picked off Rich Gannon, who I believe was MVP that year.
He was
6 times.
Yep, he was the MVP.
So it's weird. It's odd. I don't know if it's sabotage. That takes a lot of. There's the risk of doing that. Defies any reward. I don't see why you would do that. I don't see, you have so much at stake if you win the Super Bowl. You're remembered in history. To give that up for some spite seems a bit odd. But I like Tim Brown, and I like he's usually a very honest guy. And I don't think he's lying. I think he actually believes this. So it's tough to say.
This was frustrating. If it was some other guy, I would say this is some dumb crackpot athlete. But this is Tim Brown. Tim Brown's a pretty clean-cut guy. Great receiver. He is pretty much in the top 3 of a lot of categories. I was happy when he got to the Super Bowl because that was his first Super Bowl appearance. I think that there's a little bit more than meets the eye. Yes, you have the John Gruden factor. He was coach of the team the year before. He knew the plays. And I think Callahan maybe was incompetent to not change audible signals because Gruden knew those signals. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers said we knew everything that was coming, and it was pretty obvious they picked off Gannon 5 or 6 times in that game. I think partly what happened, and this is one of the versions of the story we're hearing, is there was the lineman for the Raiders, the center, Barrett Robbins. He had kind of a mental breakdown. He went to Tijuana and skipped the game. And perhaps they knew after this occurred, they said, we're going to have to change our strategy from a run game to a passing game because we don't have our best blocker around. Perhaps that is what occurred. But again, I think Tim Brown's trying to get some attention, although Jerry Rice, who very familiar with the 49ers, backs up Brown's stories. So I guess.
Well, I think also the thing that was suggested about Robbins is that the fact that they changed the game plan 36 hours before the game also led to that breakdown. So.
Oh, okay. Good point.
Callahan got in his head, So it was. Like I said, it's on face value, it doesn't seem like possible at all, and you would just dismiss it. But a lot of people are backing him up. Some people aren't, and it's just kind of a he said thing. And I don't think you're ever going to really know the answer because Bill Callahan would never admit it.
Right.
Did. And Tim Brown's never going to back off on it. 'Cause it's been 10 years, and he still says it, so he's not letting it go. And I really didn't like Callahan. I'm not a big Raiders guy, but I didn't like him, and I never thought. I wouldn't say it's impossible like I would with a lot of other, like the Jim Harbaugh. They said Jim Harbaugh was trying to do it. That's impossible. This one's not impossible. It's just probably not likely.
Again, I would have to say, we'll talk more about this in the show, obviously. I want to get other people's opinions on this possibility. If I were to have to say, gun in my head, what occurred, I would say it was more of a matter of incompetence because there really is no incentive to lose a Super Bowl. There was no allegations of bribery, no allegations of threats, any of that effect. And they could say Callahan was friends with John Gruden, but still there's not a reason for him to lose. I think it was incompetent to change the game plan 36 hours before, not to change the audibles, and not to be more prepared for a guy that knows everything about you, that taught Rich Gannon everything he knew, taught the Raiders everything they knew. I think there should have been more of a proper preparation. Another California question before we talk more about Super Bowl 47. Phil Mickelson, who spends a lot of time in California, that's his main residence, went to Arizona State, complained about his taxes. Under the new Obama tax code, he claims he's paying 60% taxes. I don't know how that's possible. But, Wardy, is this just another idiot athlete that doesn't appreciate what he has, or does he have some legitimate point to paying this much extra tax, extra millions of dollars, to a policy he doesn't agree with? Or are you there with us?
Yeah. I think, if he he lives in California, if he wanted to move to Texas, where you pay less,
right?
That'd be fine with me. If as a person his biggest thing is to save money, then he should do that. But for him to threaten to leave the country, even though I wouldn't mind that he lives, it's just it doesn't seem like you make all your money, America gives you this opportunity, and then the second you can not pay it, even if it might be a little high in your opinion, you just leave. Seems not like a high character move.
I think he's not going to leave.
If he decides that he wants to move, he should.
He's not going to leave. He just people spout all kinds of things regarding politics. I remember in 2000, I think Alec Baldwin said that if President Bush wanted, he was going to leave the United States, and he didn't leave the United States. And I think it's just some dumb, empty threat. Although Tony Kornheiser from PTI last night said something hilarious. He said he liked the idea of Phil moving to another country, and then he participates in the Ryder Cup against Tiger Woods. I actually think that would be entertaining, but I don't.
Yeah.
I just don't see that happening. Phil's going to suck it up. Phil,
I don't see it happening, but I'm just I didn't like it when Alec Baldwin said it. I don't like it when I'm tired of the threat. I'd like one person to actually move to another country, learn another language, do all these things that you have to do. Become a citizen. God bless. If you really, that's what's the most important thing in his life, then maybe you should do it.
It would be nice one of these days to see someone actually legitimize their claims and leave and not just have an empty threat. By the way, according to CelebrityNetworth.com, Phil Mickelson is worth, Ori, take a guess how much Phil Mickelson is worth.
I would say Phil Mickelson's worth $70 million.
You're $80 million off, $150 million according to Celebrity Net Worth. And right now, according to that same website, he is earning $60 million a year. 10 is salary, tournament winnings, and then $50 million is an endorsement. So, yeah, as the joke goes, I would be happy to trade places in the tax code-wise. I'm happy to pay 60% to President Obama if I'm getting $60 million a year. So I would live with that. By the way, to his credit, Phil does. I don't know if he's given out an apology, but he says he regrets those comments. So whatever that's worth there. All right, now let's break down the game in the final time we have with you. I'll say it like this, and I'll elaborate more throughout the program. I think the 49ers are the better team. I don't think there's really a dispute there. I think that they have a better defense. I think they have more weapons with Vernon Davis, Crabtree, Gore, on and on and on. If I'm a 49ers fan like you are, I'm concerned about the Ravens' momentum. People left this team for dead, and they have the Ray Lewis factor, everything going on. They beat the Patriots, they beat the Broncos when they were almost double-digit underdogs. How do you fight against the momentum of the Baltimore Ravens?
Well, I think the Niners, they've always, especially throughout the playoffs, they faced these teams that was just oh, of course they're going to lose this game. It was the Packers, even though they've been favored. It's the Packers, Aaron Rodgers wants his revenge. He's going to go crazy.
Right.
He's definitely going to win. When it was against Atlanta, they won their first playoff game. Tony Gonzalez was last year. They got to go in. And then this year it's Ray Lewis, which is a better story than any of them. But I just think that it doesn't affect them at all. I don't think they care about the Baltimore team of destiny thing, because I think they believe that they are the team of destiny. I think they believe it every year because that's what Jim Harbaugh tells them or makes them believe. And I think, I think they believe that they should have won it last year, whether that's true or not. And I think you saw that in the game last week that they were not going to they were going to do anything not to lose that game because they were not going to have another heartbreaking loss. And I just think they're mentally tough. They're mentally tougher than the Falcons. That was for sure. And I think that they're going to, any distraction, I don't think it's really going to affect them. They even had an incident with Crabtree
right, let's get rid of that
before, and it didn't affect them at all. So.
And you don't think that, cause again, the Super Bowl hypes everything up to the 1,000th degree. You're going to have media day. You're going to have all these press people asking Michael Crabtree about the allegations of sexual assault. Again, you don't think that will faze him at all?
I don't know if it's not going to faze him at all because it is a trying circumstance, but it's going to be thrown out, I think, by the time the Super Bowl happens. But based on everything I've read. A lot of witnesses has backed his story up. So I don't think it's going to be an issue. I just don't think that, I think this team wants it really badly. Like, I think people that don't know the Niners don't really understand. Like, that loss to the Giants last year was not like just
any other loss.
A loss to shake off. It was the worst loss a team could pretty much have, especially at home. Maybe the Falcons match it, blowing a 17-point lead Sunday, but and they, I think that was the big thing about this year. I mean, that's why he made the switch to Kaepernick, was for that game on Sunday and this game, the Super Bowl game. So they've been thinking about this for a while, and they're ready, and I don't think they're going to be fazed by the moment.
All right, I want to talk about Colin Kaepernick. I'm still trying to figure out this guy because, on one hand, he's a young kid. He's 25 years old. He went to college in Nevada, a second-round draft pick, and sometimes perhaps the tattoos, maybe I'm an old-school guy, but you sometimes look at this guy and say, this guy's a kid, he's immature, but he apparently, when he's on the sidelines, he is acting like the leader of this team. He's getting in the faces of guys 10, 12 years older than him. They seem to respect him as the leader. He can run like the wind. He has Adrian Peterson numbers from center. So are you still comfortable? You're still comfortable with the decision if, let's put it this way, if Alex Smith was the man under center, would the 49ers still be in Super Bowl 47?
It's a tough question. It's a hypothetical. I don't think so.
I agree.
You would have to assume that if Atlanta played like they did on Sunday, that first half, I don't think Alex Smith is able to come back from a 17-point deficit in three quarters. If the defense plays better, I think the Niners can beat the Falcons with Alex Smith at quarterback. I just don't think they win that game. They don't come back. Colin Kaepernick just brings a lot of dimensions, and they have this, more than anything, and it's not Alex Smith's fault, they have this pistol read offense where, Alex Smith would be useless in that scenario. Like, you're not going to guard against Alex Smith running the ball. So that takes away a lot of the running game. It takes away all three scores we had on Sunday. So probably not. I like Alex Smith, and I'm glad that if we win the Super Bowl, he'll be part of it, and hopefully won't be forgotten. But Kaepernick, he really, when he threw that pick six against Green Bay to open the playoffs, it was. I remember thinking that, okay, well, this is the worst you can do to open a game. Let's see how he responds, and literally it was the best response in the history of the NFL. So
he was
sensational with him. I think he has poise. I think he rebounds from the moment. I'm not really worried about him. I really believe that if the Niners don't win the Super Bowl, it's because they play better than them. It's not because they gave it up. So.
All right, Ori, I'll leave you with this point, and then we'll get your prediction before we let you go. The 25-year-old thing doesn't bother me so much because Brady won his first at 25, so did Joe Montana. This is when I would be concerned, again, if I was a 49ers fan. Colin Kaepernick has played in 9 NFL games, period, and Joe Flacco has played in 12 postseason games. So the experience level between the two quarterbacks is not comparable, even though Flacco is only 2 years older. Flacco just has more experience. I'll leave you with that thought. Now, with that thought, even that being said, the Super Bowl a week and a half from now, 49ers, Ravens, what's your prediction?
Well, I haven't thought about the game so much yet, but I do predict the Niners, and I think if I had to give a score right now, I think it's going to be a little higher scoring than people think. I would say, close to what the Atlanta score, 28-24, maybe 30-27, but around there, probably 28-24. I'm gonna go with that.
Okay, so right now we have you on 28-24 for the 49ers. Good luck to your ball club. It's been a long, long time since they've been in the Super Bowl. It's good to see them back because they're one of the historic franchises of the NFL as far as Super Bowl wins. They have 5. That is a second place all time. So congrats, Ori. Me and USCG teased you a lot last year at the 49ers.
Yeah, it's sweet. It's people, and they still, like, if you look at all the expert analysis, they never pick the Niners. Like,
right.
Even when they're favored, like, it was just like, oh, Green Bay is going to upset them, or, and it's just, so hopefully people, I mean, they're going to have to win the Super Bowl for people to officially come around, but we don't mind. We we'll take the underdog.
I'll tell you, I did have Green Bay winning, I won't lie to you, but I did have them beating the Falcons, so at least I got that right. And I'll tell you the respect factor, I think if the 49ers win, I still think next season the Patriots will be the favorites. I just think the 49ers they're probably going to have to win a second one to get respect, but that's the way it goes sometimes.
Well, the Giants, I remember there was a power rankings on ESPN, and the Giants aren't even in the top 10 of this upcoming season, and they just won the World Series. So.
Oh, there you go. No respect. It's hard to get it, and you win 2 out of 3.
Respect.
That's tough. All right, Ori, enjoy the game. We'll be in touch. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
All right, Ori from Frisco here on Lewis Live on Israel Sports Radio. We're going to take a commercial break, and on the other side from Kew Garden Hills, Queens, New York, it's Radio Mike. This is Lewis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Hey folks, Kagan here. As you know, I'm always staying on top of the fitness world, keeping up with current trends. One form of exercise that's been around for ages and is currently being rediscovered is suspension bodyweight training. So if you're looking for a way to get in shape, improve your health, and train your body to move in new ways, then the X1 by Israel Gym Systems is for you. Find out more on our website at www.israelgym.com or look for our page on Facebook, Israel Gym Systems X1. Israel Gym X1. Higia Hazman.
You're already using a credit card every day. Why not feel good every time you make a purchase? When using the HAS Advantage Support Israel Visa card, a percentage of each purchase you make will be donated to your choice of 24 Israeli-based charities, while still earning a reward point for every dollar spent. But wait, these rewards are even better than the standard rewards you get, especially when using them towards Israel travel, with the best conversion rate on El Al's Matmeed Frequent Flyer program. Earn double points at some of your favorite supermarkets and restaurants in the U.S., as well as discounts all over Israel. If you love traveling and supporting Israel, HAS Advantage is the card for you. Just give us a call toll-free at 1-866-6-ISRAEL. Sign up right now with the code ISR10 to earn 2,500 bonus points. That's 1-866-647-7235. HAS Advantage. Earn rewards. Support Israel. Offer valid for U.S. citizens only. Terms and conditions do apply. When dialing from within Israel, please dial 1-800-200-818.
Israel Sports Dynamics specializes in football consulting, equipment, uniforms, and more. Great brands such as Nike, Russell Athletics, Schutt Sports Products, and many more. Just one call away. With over 30 years coaching experience with university and professional athletes, Harry Hill, owner of ISD, can advise you for all your sports needs. Call 054-581-3248. That's 054-581-3248, or visit our website at www.isdisrael.com. If that's not easy enough, click on the ISD banner on the Israel Sports Radio website and be part of the game.
Are you tired of paying for expensive gym memberships that you don't use? Are you frustrated by not seeing results? It's time for the X1. Israel Gym Systems is proud to launch the X1 suspension and bodyweight training system. Lose weight, build muscle, improve balance, coordination, and flexibility. With your purchase of the X1, you'll receive a free membership to IsraelGym.com and access to our archives of videos and exercise plans. Sign up today at www.IsraelGym.com and get ready for the new you. Israel Gym X1. Higia Hazman.
Broadcasting live from Israel.
IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Back here on Lewis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com, and our thanks again to Ori from Frisco, making his case for the San Francisco 49ers. He talked about how Michael Crabtree probably won't be phased in the Super Bowl because he was not phased in the NFC title game. I again contend that it's a bigger stage, bigger levels, bigger expectations, and a lot more press. They're going to give him one or two questions about it. Better believe that. We'll see if that affects Crabtree or not. There have been scandals in the past right before a player goes to the Super Bowl, and it has affected his play. On the line right now to discuss more about Super Bowl 47, other sports in general, Radio Mike from Kew Garden Hills. Radio Mike, how you doing out there?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing great, and before we get into the Super Bowl, I want to get a recap of the title games, what you thought. Let's first start with the Patriots. Totally, and you had the Ravens, so you were right. Kudos to you. You had the Ravens winning, even though they were the 9-point underdog. I want to talk about Brady's kick. When I was watching that play, and it was weird seeing it. It was kind of surreal. You're thinking, did he just try to kick somebody? What was he doing? And he could have been hurt himself. That leg could have spun back. We know Brady has torn his ACL before. So what were you thinking, your initial thoughts, when you saw Tom Terrific make that kick?
Well, he's not superhuman. He's a great quarterback, but, when you're a little bit off, it can be disastrous. I mean, they were winning 13-7 at the going into halftime, but they had a chance to put more points on the board, and very un-Brady-like. When you get that chance and you can go up by another score and another score and another score, they always take advantage of it, and in this case they didn't. They didn't manage to clock properly. They could have gotten at least 3 points, maybe a couple chances into the end zone. They didn't, and they got shut out in that second half.
And this is something I can't understand how it happened. There were a lot of things that happened in the second half that were confusing, bothersome. First of all, the Ravens, with about 3 minutes left, they were up by 15 points, so that's enough time for the Patriots to come back. They were celebrating as if the game was over. You saw Flacco hug Harbaugh. You saw the players clap hands. They were excited. I was thinking, Patriots could come back there.
Hello? I didn't understand it at all.
I didn't get that. And the only thing I could think of is this, is that the Ravens go ahead, Radio Mike.
They were taking off Ray Lewis's jersey before the game was over because they have to look at, which Psalm of the day he's in favor of, and the game's not over. Whether you have 3 minutes left or 2 minutes left or maybe a minute left, or if you have no timeouts and you're just going to run out of the clock. Yeah, I didn't really understand that at all. I mean, you can be very happy, but the game's not over with 3 minutes to go. Crazy things happen in football.
The only thing I can think of is that in that second half, the Ravens owned the will, the spirit, the heart, whatever you may call, of the Patriots. They couldn't get anything done, and at that point they thought, well, this is over. My question to you is, I still don't know how they did it. I don't know how they shut out the Patriots in the second half. The Patriots were not only the best offense in the NFL, they had they were 100 points better, I believe, than second place in the NFL. They had the best.
You have Ray Lewis, they're on the Cinderella ride right now. Ed Reed, they have a lot of good defensive players, and they really turned it up a notch. And Brady was just a little bit off, and that's all it takes. When he gets rattled just like any other quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the key to beating Brady is to give him pressure. And when you're watching this game and you're so confused because the Patriots, not only do they score a lot of points, they own the turnover battle. They have been number one and then some, and they have a bunch of turnovers there, and they lose the turnover battle. And I kind of had the feeling when there was that fumble at the end of the third that the game was basically over. When Flacco has a short field and scored, I actually wrote on Facebook, game over, you knew they weren't coming back. And the rattling of Brady, was there something else you saw? Flacco's dominance in the third quarter. What was, from the Ravens' perspective,
what I said last week was that, the safeties for New England, the cornerbacks, they're not that good. You could throw against New England. Flacco, I think, did a great job throwing into the wind. Brady doesn't have the arm strength like Flacco does. He couldn't throw against the Baltimore defense, but Flacco has a great arm. I think if it wasn't the win element there, Flacco would have put up even more points. He was dissecting them in the second half when they opened up the game. They could have gotten another touchdown or two if they really wanted to, or if the wind would have been as bad as it was.
Flacco's been spot on in the postseason. I think pretty much there's no doubt that he's been the best player throughout the postseason. You could make an argument for Colin Kaepernick, but I just think what Flacco's done in 3 games has been sensational. He said he's an elite quarterback. Do you now consider him an elite quarterback based on what he's done in the postseason?
Well, I was saying that before, this all happened. I thought he was a good quarterback before. He's a clutch quarterback. He's won a playoff game in every season he's played.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't say that about anyone else. You can't say that about Bradshaw. You can't say it about Brady. Y.A. Tittle. I mean, he's won a playoff game every season he's played in, and that says a lot about that guy. And, last year they almost made it to the Super Bowl. They almost beat New England last year, and then a lot of people find faults with Flacco. I mean, I would sign him up for the Jets in a flash if that would be something that would be feasible. But he's a terrific quarterback. I don't know, why people are so down on him.
I think last season, in the postseason, there was that skateboard incident. As a 26-year-old Flacco, I was disappointed. But in that title game, he came to play, played a great game. He gave them a chance to win. Lee Evans simply dropped that ball. Otherwise, they would have gone to Super Bowl 46. So I don't think you could fault him. They're going to franchise him next season. After that, he's looking, I assume, $19, $20 million, $18 million. What do you think he'll get if he goes in the open market, stays with the Ravens? How much money are we talking about here?
Yeah, well, he deserves everything he gets paid. He has made arguably the strongest arm in the NFL.
Yep.
That opens up the field. It opens up tremendous possibilities. That's how he beat Manning in that game in Denver. I think that was 55 yards in the air. They don't come along that often. He doesn't get he's not flappable. They could be down a couple points. They can come back. The game against Denver, they kept on coming back, and finally they got their break and they won the game.
All right, and before we talk more about Super Bowl 47, let's go to the NFC title game right now. 49ers down 17 points. I was very nervous when I saw that because I had the 49ers winning. They come back. Is that more the Falcons losing the game or the 49ers stepping up and winning it?
Well, it's really a combination of both. I mean, Colin Kaepernick, he doesn't get rattled. I mean, I just said that Flacco doesn't get rattled. The same thing with Kaepernick. He's down 17 points. He's not nervous. He doesn't go out there and starts throwing crazy passes all over the place and make it 24-0, 31-0. 17-0. All he needs to do is get one score here, get another score, and eventually, they shut out Atlanta in the second half. The defense finally woke up for San Francisco. So they threw a shutout in the second half, and then they won 28. What was it?
28-24, I believe.
Right. So they're a very good team.
It was very strange, 28-24, yes. It was very strange that not only did both road teams win in the title games, but both home teams were shut out in the second half. Were you expecting that at all before that weekend started?
No, you can't expect. The New England Patriots, I think they outscored everyone, the second best team by 100 points. So they have a dynamic, they have a great offense. That they were shut out in the second half, speaks volumes about the Baltimore defense. But then again, no one could have predicted that. I mean, yes, I predicted Baltimore would beat them, but, you wouldn't say that they would, throw a shutout in that second half. I mean, that's really great. So both teams are really, are very parallel. They have very hot quarterbacks. They're both on Cinderella runs. Obviously, the coaches are related.
Right.
But, they have everything going for them. If you want to have the two best teams currently playing in the Super Bowl, I think it's Baltimore and San Francisco. I think it's going to be a really fun game. I mean, just because one team might go up by 10 points, the other team can come back by 10 points. But, these are the two best teams, and it should be a very fun Super Bowl to watch.
I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be close. I'll give my official prediction on Facebook after the show is over. But before we go on and leave the NFC title game, one of the things I think is interesting is that I believe the 49ers won this game. I think Kaepernick stepped up and won this game because Matt Ryan was superb. A QB rating almost 115. He had almost 400 yards. I think he did everything right. I think Tony Gonzalez did everything right. I just think that the 49ers were a little bit better than the Atlanta Falcons.
Well, yes, but a lot of the receivers for San Francisco, they were wide open down the stretch. Michael Crabtree, he's really come on very strong ever since Colin Kaepernick has been the quarterback. He's really turned it up a notch, and I think he's really turning into a superstar. Atlanta didn't really fold. They just didn't play that well, and San Francisco just kept at it, and it was interesting. They were focusing on Colin Kaepernick running, and he didn't run. He only had 2 rushes in the whole game. They were both successful, but he demonstrated that an arm goes a long way also. So you have dual weapons with Colin Kaepernick. He can either throw the ball or he could run the ball. Really, it's something for Baltimore to be careful about.
It was genius by Harbaugh and the coaching staff because you figured the Falcons were going to key in on the run after Kaepernick had that 180-yard-plus game against the Packers. Instead, they don't have him run. They have Frank Gore run. Frank Gore almost gets to 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. I want you to talk a little bit about Frank Gore because this guy is a Hall of Famer. I have the numbers in front of me. I thought in my mind he was over 8,000. He's actually almost at 9,000. He has a rushing average of 4.6 yards per carry, 51 rushing touchdowns. This guy's a Hall of Famer. This is his first Super Bowl. So how, I guess, happy for you just as a football fan to see a guy, and he's played for some bad 49er teams. I mean, let's be honest here. This is in his 7th year, and here he is in the Super Bowl and a chance to really, I don't want to say cap off his career, but I don't know what he's going to do in his 30s. Running backs usually go downhill after this age. So we might have seen the best of Frank Gore, maybe not, but talk about Frank Gore, the Hall of Fame career, and in his first Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, he's a veteran running back. He knows what to do. He doesn't fumble. He is, I would say, he's really underrated. I mean, because he played for very poor teams, he didn't get the accolades he deserved. I mean, a 4.6 rushing average is fantastic.
Phenomenal, yeah.
A lot of the other teams would focus on him in the run game, and yet he always produced well. I think he was a little bit overlooked by Atlanta. But he had, I think in the season he had 1,200 yards. So he's a solid running back. Another guy that you'd like to have on your football team.
It's a great point you made about them keying in, putting extra guys in the box to focus on Gore because most of his career they had Alex Smith as quarterback. Alex Smith really did not get it together, if you will, until last year. And they also went through a carousel of coaches, offense coordinators in San Francisco, and nevertheless, Gore kept piling up numbers because he was just that good. And I think if he would have been on a better team, he'd probably be around 12,000 yards, maybe an outside chance to go after Emmitt Smith's record, although that's a big situation of health. Really, you have to be healthy to get that record. Again, one more thing before, and then we'll get a breakdown of Super Bowl 47 from you. Want to get your thoughts about Jamarcus Russell. He was the former number 1 pick of the Raiders. He's faced jail time. He has weight issues, over 300 pounds. All that talent, and there was one of the worst busts in NFL history, in my opinion. Apparently, he is planning a comeback in the NFL. Your thoughts, Radio Mike?
Well, I think the Jets should sign him because the Jets would sign anybody. They'll take 2, 3, 4 quarterbacks. I don't know if you heard the latest. Their coach, Rex Ryan, was in a car accident. And, Jamarcus Russell either, had all the tools to be a great quarterback. You got to watch your body. You can't get overweight. You have to have somewhat of a clean life, he had all these tools, and if he can come back, God bless him. But he really squandered a great chance that he had. When you can be a starting quarterback in the NFL, you got to be thankful to God and take advantage of the situation.
It's frustrating because he made so much money from the signing bonus and blew it. I believe he was bankrupt. He was arrested for possession of codeine syrup, and a friend of mine down on the ground in California basically explained Jamarcus Russell had all that codeine syrup for himself to get high off of. He had about 30 cases in his truck. He was pulled over, and even though the cops knew he was doing that for himself, they had to arrest him for intent to sell because there was just that many cases. And because Jamarcus Russell is an idiot, he's carrying around these drugs in his trunk and not being smarter about it. So this is very, very dumb of him. He doesn't seem like a smart person. And if he can get it done, great. I don't see him being a Michael Vick. Michael Vick was the exception, not the rule, where he was able to turn around his image, turn around his career after his stint in prison. I don't see that from Jamarcus Russell. Let's go to Super Bowl 47. Let's get your breakdown here. Who is the X factor for both ball clubs, the 49ers and the Ravens?
Oh, I don't know. There are really two teams that are really on a roll. They have a lot going for them at quarterback. The one thing that San Francisco had going for them was they had a great pass rush till it was Justin Smith who got injured. That would have made it very difficult on Flacco. I don't know. I think the receivers for Baltimore, Bolden, Torrey Smith are great. For San Francisco, you have Michael Crabtree. As I said, he's coming into his own. I don't know. It could be the special teams. When the special teams, when a guy runs back a ball, a punt, for a touchdown or something like that, I think that can make the whole difference. The special teams can make the difference here because the starting lineups for both teams are very, very solid. San Francisco might have a slight edge in their roster, but two Cinderella teams, and I think anyone could win this game. It's going to be close. But I would watch the special teams. I think it's going to be one over there.
All right, so you think it'll come down to special teams. Let's talk about, though, the defensive end for both ball clubs. Who do you think has the better defense? The Ravens have been famous for their defense for 10 years. I feel like the 49ers, their best asset is their defense. So from a guy who's, partial, you're not a Niners fan or a Ravens fan, looking from the outside in, who has the better defense?
I would say that Baltimore probably, they have a lot of stars in their team. I would say Baltimore might have a slight edge in their defense. You certainly have to respect San Francisco's defense. So I would say Baltimore probably has a slightly better defense, and they're playing pretty well at this point. Shutting out New England last week speaks volumes about how great their defense is.
That's a great point, too. I mean, you figure New England is the better offense over the Falcons, so if you go by the latest work, the Ravens have done a little bit more. Now, we talked about this in the last segment. I want to get your thoughts. Michael Crabtree is been suspected. I don't think he's been officially arrested yet for a sexual assault. How much will that play into his mind? It didn't seem to affect him in the NFC title game. You think it'll affect him in Super Bowl 47?
These people play in a different wavelength, If
True.
something like that happened to a normal person, I think they would fall totally apart.
Yeah.
These people, their lives are football. They basically have nothing else but football. Sometimes, with all the fame and riches, that's where they get messed up doing this and that, like DeMarcus. So hopefully it won't have any effect on him. And he'll have a good game, run his routes, catch that ball, and run for a couple touchdowns.
By the way, the latest reports we're seeing is that Crabtree, could be one of the rare times where it's not true. I tend to think something fishy happened with Big Ben Roethlisberger because it was two different women that accused him. And I think something fishy happened there. I can't say for sure it was rape, but something bad happened there. Sometimes these players are, and I don't want to say incompetent, but they do incompetent things. They put themselves in bad places like bars, nightclubs, where these women want to go after them, try to get some type of money out of them, lawsuit, whatever. I'm getting the feeling that's what happened here because Crabtree went out and celebrated after they beat the Packers.
Look at Ray Lewis, what happened with him years ago. There was a murder rap out there too. They say that he's done repentance since then, but they're hanging out in the wrong element at the wrong place at the wrong time.
And I think with Ray Lewis, that was more he had bad friends, and his friends were somewhat thuggish, and I think that was the problem there. And we still don't know exactly what happened, but he was clear of all charges. With the Michael Crabtree situation, police have been saying he has been cooperative, and you tend to think if a guy was guilty, he wouldn't be cooperative. He would say, talk to my lawyer. He would say no comment. He wouldn't answer. So I tend to give Michael the benefit of the doubt. But that being said, in New Orleans, he better stay out of bars, nightclubs, anything a little suspicious, just stay away. Let's talk about the commissioner of the NFL, Roger Goodell. Roger Goodell, of course, suspended Sean Payton, the coach of the Saints, for an entire year. He suspended Jonathan Vilma. He ruined the Saints' season, rightly or wrongly, and the game is in New Orleans. Goodell's going to have to make his appearances there. Goodell, I assume, will walk on the field at some point. What the Saints fans should remember, and Tony Kornheiser brought this up last night on Part of the Interruption, that Roger Goodell saved the Saints for being in New Orleans. They were going to leave after Hurricane Katrina. He kept them there. I think the fans are going to forget that. Do you expect a huge booing show, or do you think somehow they'll remember what the commissioner did positively for them?
Well, I think people, especially sports fans, have a very short-term memory.
Yeah.
And they're going to think about this past season. That's going to be overshadowing them staying in New Orleans. Another little item is, I don't know what the breakdown is, but how many fans that are going to be in New Orleans are going to be from around the country that are not from actually New Orleans. I don't know what the breakdown is supposed to be, but it's going to be 50% are coming from other states. I would say, and the majority of people, if they are New Orleans fans, they would boo them. If there's when they award the Super Bowl trophy, people have a short attention span. They don't remember history.
That's a great point. By the way, we're talking about traveling because you mentioned where are they coming from. I was arguing that the California fan is a lazy fan, and Ori from Frisco said, no, that's the L.A. fan. I still think Baltimore will travel better. First of all, they're closer. The city's closer to New Orleans, the Ray Lewis factor, and I think the East Coast fan, and again, you're biased because you're from the East Coast.
It's going to be interesting that, the players, they maybe need a person watching them. They need, guarding them at, 24/7, that they're either going to be doing football-related items, not hanging out on Bourbon Street, not partying it up. They got to really take it easy. You have a football game to win. This is what makes the legacy. Did a guy win this Super Bowl or not? I mean, like we have Peyton Manning. He's won one Super Bowl. People won't forget that. If Flacco wins the Super Bowl, wow, he's won just as many as Peyton Manning.
Yeah, that's true.
This is the game of your life. If you want to party next week after the Super Bowl. Take it easy this week while you're going to be in New Orleans.
And also New Orleans, that's a great point because these athletes are human beings. A lot of them are young guys. They're single guys. Even if they're married, sometimes they don't care. New Orleans is a hard place not to have fun. It really is. In fact, I remember a friend of mine in 2002, he wanted me to go on a trip to New Orleans, and I said, oh, you mean for Mardi Gras? He said, no, just New Orleans in general. I said, I thought New Orleans is only really a party city during Mardi Gras, and he responded, obviously you haven't been to New Orleans. I mean, this is one of the biggest party places in the United States, and some of these guys could be trapped. And that's something we'll talk about later in the show about players taking care of their business, going to practice, answering the press questions.
I've been to New Orleans, and I tell you, at the time they had tours of the Superdome. I did that. There was a Bayou Swamp tour. I did that. It was a lot of fun. At night, I did walk on Bourbon Street. I think I had a Coca-Cola, and that was it. I mean, you got to control yourself here. I was there for a convention related to my real job. So I was up in the morning and and at it. You got to control yourself. I mean, if a person wants to have a good time and have maybe a drink or two, okay, but take it easy.
Yeah, you've got to, as you said. I mean, this game can make a player millions of dollars. Look at Dexter Jackson. Dexter Jackson was a Super Bowl MVP back in Super Bowl 37 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and after that, he did nothing. But because he was the MVP, he got extra millions of dollars in his contract, was on national TV, commercials, etc. You want to party after the game is over.
Yeah, and then you had the one great catch by Tyree David Tyree for the Giants. I mean, people will never forget that. Arguably the best catch in Super Bowl history. Nobody will ever forget that. He'll always be a great Giant.
But what has he done since?
He never did that much in the regular season, and he's famous forever.
Even Eli Manning, in the regular season, if you look at his numbers, his QB rating is about 83, but 2 Super Bowl rings, and after the first Super Bowl ring, he got the best contract for a quarterback in the NFL. So it's obviously where you make your money. And an extra point, one last point I want to make before we get your prediction. This will be the 10 time that the Super Bowl is in New Orleans. There's only been 47 of these things. So it's over 20%. Miami is also at 10. So the NFL likes New Orleans, and they like Miami. Just a point to make out there, and my Phoenix area has had the Super Bowl 3 times, or has had 2, and will have it a 3rd time in 2 years from now. All right, Radio Mike, Ravens, 49ers, Super Bowl 47. Who's winning?
I just want to comment on that last thing.
Sure.
Next year, the Super Bowl is going to be played in the Meadowlands,
Right.
Which is right next to New York. The temperature out here is anywhere from 8 degrees today to 15 degrees, and that's not
good.
Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
So can you imagine if they had the Super Bowl week and it was like 10 degrees over here, maybe a little snow thrown in? I don't see why it shouldn't. Football should be played indoors. It can be played outdoors. It can be played on the East Coast, West Coast. I don't really think it should always be played indoors or in Florida or in New Orleans. I think it's a good idea that it should be played in New York every so often. And, why not?
Yeah, and again, the breakdown, people could check out Wikipedia. You could type in Super Bowl to see where these Super Bowls are played, and 27 times, it's over half the times, it's been L.A., New Orleans, or Miami. So they wanted a warm place. I understand that because of the fans traveling from not just the United States, all over the world. It will be very interesting to see what happens next year in New York. The traffic will be miserable. I would not want to touch New York with a 10-foot pole in any way, shape, or form when that happens, but we'll see. They're going to get their chance. It's never been it's never been in New York. This will be the first time. Next year, that'll be the first time. All right, Radio Mike, 49ers, Baltimore Ravens, Super Bowl 47. Who is winning, and what is the score?
Well, I've been picking Baltimore throughout. I mean, I obviously can see the 49ers winning also, but if I'm sticking with my prediction that Baltimore, I'm going to pick a really tight game. I'm going to say they're going to win 27-24, and Ray Lewis is going to go out as the champion and the darling of football.
Who would have thought it? Because I saw a show a few years ago. Ray Lewis was being interviewed, and he was talking about the Super Bowl victory back in the 2000 season, and they showed that dance he did at the beginning of the game, and he looked at the camera and said, "I need that feeling one more time." And I thought he wasn't going to get it. I thought he was going to end his career without going to the Super Bowl again, but here he is, and he's going to have a chance to go out on top, 37 years old, one of the greatest linebackers of all time, if not the greatest. And so Radio Mike likes the Ravens. And sorry, what was your score?
27-24 Baltimore.
Okay, 27-24, and Ori had 28-24, I believe, for the 49ers. A lot of people will be predicting a close game, no doubt about that. All right, Radio Mike, thank you so much for being on Lewis Live on Israel Sports Radio. Enjoy the game. We will be in touch.
Okay, thanks.
All right, be well out there. That was Radio Mike from Kew Garden Hills, New York, who likes the Ravens. So we'll have to keep track of who is picking who and how many people are picking for each team. I wouldn't be surprised out of the 12 guests we have to get an even 6-6 split. I think this will be one of the closer games we've seen in Super Bowl history. We've never seen an overtime game in Super Bowl history. We've been close a few times, probably the closest Super Bowl V when the Colts beat the Dallas Cowboys 16-13 on a last-second field goal. Vinatieri, of course, his field goal with the Patriots 2 times prevented overtime. So we've had a couple of close ones. Many, many times the Super Bowl is a blowout, and it's difficult to watch. But the last couple ones have been close. Last season, Giants win at the end. They won 21-17. The Packers won a little more convincing fashion, but the game was close pretty much throughout. The year before that, you had Drew Brees and the Saints beating Peyton Manning and the Colts kind of at the end. Peyton Manning had the ball with a chance to tie the game, throws that interception. And before that, you had a close game with the Cardinals and the Steelers. So the last couple of years, we've seen some close ball games. And usually that will not be the trend. You figure at some point we're going to have a blowout again. I don't think that's going to happen this year. I really, really doubt it. I think we're in for a close game. I think these teams are very evenly matched. On the line right now to discuss more Super Bowl 47 and other news going around in the world of sports, Israel Sports Radio's East Coast correspondent, Ari Bluestein. Ari, how you doing out there?
I'm good. I'm cold out here, Ari. How are you?
Well, I'm warm. I think it's 85 degrees in Jerusalem. I'm enjoying this because it's been snowing. It was snowing a couple of weeks ago, so this is certainly a lot of fun. All right, I want someone to explain this to me because I'm still confused. So, and if you're confused, that's fine, but I got to get some type of answer to this. What the heck happened with Teo from Notre Dame? I still don't understand the story. He has a fake girlfriend. he didn't make it up. He said he was lied to. Then he said he lied himself a little bit to Katie Couric. What happened? Do you know what happened with this guy? And what's he doing on the internet?
I don't know. It's very confusing. What it sounds like he believed it at first, that he had this girlfriend that he talked to online. Then he found out that she died, and he dedicated the season to her back in September. Then in December, he got a message from her again saying she was alive, and she just was in with bad people and had to step away and just told people she died. So, and then he kind of hid it from people, for a month or so. So I think he knew before it actually came out that it was a hoax. So while he has confessed to basically lying a little bit and hiding the truth, he still, I think, was duped in this whole thing to thinking he had an actual girlfriend. But it's a very, very interesting story.
This is one of the strangest stories I've ever seen in sports for a lot of reasons, and I think sometimes people are confused because they think of an athlete as this big, tough guy, man on campus, can get any girl he wants. Most of the time that's true, but Teo has been known as a very shy, I guess the word is late bloomer. Would that be the kind of not so good personally, not so good with girls? And I could see him as a guy, like a nerdy guy on the internet trying to get girls.
I'm sorry, are you still there?
Yes, we're still here. Basically, with Teo, I see him as a guy who could go to a chat room and try to pick up girls and not go to a party necessarily because he's kind of known as a shy, quiet type of individual.
Yeah, I mean, obviously somebody knew what he was like and knew that he was naive enough to believe everything that was going on. So they knew that this little hoax thing would work. I mean, if this were me, if it were in my situation, I need to see something to believe it. So I would want to meet up with this supposed girlfriend, and then obviously I would figure out that it was, it was a hoax. But obviously somebody knew that he was the way he was, socially awkward a little bit, maybe a late bloomer with, talking to girls and everything, and they got him, and they knew that they would get him. It's a shame. I guess somebody was just having a little fun with him.
And apparently, the guy that pulled a spring on him has done this before. That's more. The story is more and more we find out about it, more layers. The weirder and weirder it gets. So this is the thing he'll be remembered for. I mean, and I'm being serious about this. Will this affect his draft status? Will this actually cost him money that he was involved with this thing, even though he was probably tricked?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. We've seen this character type of issue come up before. We've seen it with Randy Moss. His draft stock really dropped all those years ago, and the Vikings got him as a steal, and now he's a potential Hall of Famer. We've also seen this kind of thing happen to guys, and they ended up being busts because of the character issue. So it'll be interesting. Right now, I believe he's projected to be in the top 10. I don't see him dropping much further than that if he drops at all. I think, he's at least got to go in the top 20 or at least in the first round. Will he drop out of the top 10? Maybe. It depends on who's drafting there. There's actually an issue right now with the Eagles because the Eagles are in need of linebackers. They're looking at a defensive player, either a cornerback or a linebacker, to fill a void on defense with the number 4 overall pick. So it's being debated whether the Eagles are going to take Manti Te'o at number 4 because of everything that's going on, or whether they were going to take him already. Now, under the Andy Reid regime, you wouldn't see Andy Reid take a guy like Manti Te'o because of this issue. However, he does have the Mormon aspect to him, and Andy Reid is, of course, from that area of the country where Mormonism is popular, so maybe that would be a factor. I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see once the mock drafts come out to see where he's actually going to fall.
I think one of the sad things, I almost feel like the kid's father. I feel for him, and I could see these really rude fans when he goes on the road for whatever team he plays for, making nasty sides, making fun of him after all this, and calling him an idiot or duping him. But I think eventually he can kind of shed this off, especially if he plays well. You know, in sports, if you play well, they forgive you for anything, even murder. I mean, they just kind of let it go. So hopefully he gets to be a top 10 pick, makes that good signing money, gets on with the team, and plays well. Now, here's a story I want to get your thoughts on. The New York Jets have been interviewing different candidates for the general manager position, and former Broncos general manager Ted Sundquist said that Woody Johnson told him that Tim Tebow was forced upon him. Now, Woody Johnson is the owner of the Jets. Do you buy that story that it was forced upon Woody Johnson? He really didn't want Tim Tebow.
It's possible. I mean, the way Tim Tebow was used with the Jets, I mean, it was very seldomly. So for him to be forced upon, the coaching staff, I think that may have been the case. I mean, the Jets are just a three-ring circus, and they'll do anything to get media attention. And that was probably a media stunt that they pulled to get Tebow. They probably promised Tebow, the owners did, they promised Tebow that he would get some playing time, and that's why he picked the Jets over the Jaguars, probably. And it turned out he wasn't even really used, and now he's probably going to be released or traded. So I believe it. It's definitely a plausible story.
See, what I tend to think was that Woody Johnson wanted the jersey sales, wanted the buzz, the attendance, but Rex Ryan didn't like him. I mean, you could tell Rex Ryan was a guy that didn't play and wasn't interested, and I thought the whole thing was really, really incompetent because you're wasting this guy. This is one of the brighter stars of the NFL. For whatever reason, he needs to get some playing time, and I think Jacksonville was the right fit because Tebow's from Florida, probably had the best college career of all time in Florida, and that was the right way to go. Now, Ari, I want to get your thoughts on the so-called Brady kick against Ed Reed. Tom Brady slides in that AFC title game and kicks Reed. Reed said that Brady apologized. I want to know if you think Brady will be fined for that kick or even potentially suspended next season.
I'm sorry, you dropped out a second. What's the issue with Tom Brady that you want to debate?
Tom Brady with his kick on Ed Reed. He slid and then kicked him, put his foot up in the air, if you will. Do you think he will be fined or suspended?
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't catch a lot of the championship games this weekend because I was on the road with Drexel. But I don't know, Tom Brady, I feel like he'll get away. I mean, maybe he'll get a fine. I don't think he'll get a suspension for next year. It's Tom Brady. The NFL loves Tom Brady. They probably won't do anything. Maybe a fine and a slap on the wrist, but that's probably it. I did not see the kick that you're talking about. Again, I've been really busy with Drexel, so I apologize for that. I just caught the highlights that I needed to.
I got you there. So we'll see what happens with Tom Terrific. Let's get your thoughts on Super Bowl 47. Talk about some of the strengths and weaknesses for each ball club.
Well, you look at these teams. They're both very good defensively. Obviously, they both have a head coach named Harbaugh.
Right.
And the only difference is they both have good runners. The Ravens with Ray Rice and Bernard Pierce, San Francisco with Frank Gore and Michael James. So they both have good runners. The difference really is in the quarterback play. You have Colin Kaepernick, who's a rising star. Obviously, he plays out of the option. He has the ability to make plays with his legs. He also has a very strong arm. On the other side, Flacco is more of your standard classic type of pocket quarterback, but he also has the big gun, as you saw in the big pass that he made to Jacoby Jones in the AFC divisional round to basically tie the game and send it into overtime and get the Ravens that win. So Flacco played very well last week against the Patriots, beat the Patriots for the first time under Tom Brady when they were leading at the half. I thought that was a great accomplishment for Flacco. So I think ultimately it's going to come down to the quarterback play. I think both defenses are very good. Like I said, the run games are very good for both teams. It's going to come down to which quarterback is going to make more plays. And I tend to think that's going to be Kaepernick because he has the ability to make plays with his arm and his legs. But the Ravens defense is very good, and I think that they have the ability to at least limit the type of production that Kaepernick has with his legs. So it should be a great game, two evenly matched teams. I think it's going to be a lot of fun for people to watch. I think these are two well-liked teams around the country because of the 49ers, their rise with Kaepernick, and obviously everybody loves both Harbaugh brothers. And I think Ray Lewis, even though of his shady past, as you may have alluded to earlier,
right.
He is a well-liked player, and this is going to be his last game. So I think it's going to be a lot of great storylines here. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
All right, and we'll talk a little bit more about the Super Bowl later on, but I wanted to talk some college basketball with you. Let's talk about Michigan State. They just get by Wisconsin 49-47. Michigan State is ranked number 13. Do you think they can make some noise in March Madness? So probably looking at a 3-4 seed, maybe a 5 seed, depending on how they're ranked. So talk a little bit about Michigan State and where you see them going in the tournament.
I think it definitely makes some noise in the tournament, and for one reason, Tom Izzo is one of the best NCAA tournament coaches of all time. He's taken some teams that you weren't really expecting to do well, and they did well. He's always a threat to make the Final Four. They've got a great conference schedule. The Big Ten is very good this year with the likes of Indiana, Michigan, and you've also got Wisconsin that's played pretty well. They pulled off the upset at Indiana last week. So I think that they're going to face a good amount of competition. Ohio State as well. Sorry, I forgot the Buckeyes. So a very strong conference. They're going to be battle-tested, and that's really the key, is to be battle-tested during the season in order to get yourselves ready for the tournament. You said a 3 or 4 seed. Probably that's likely. A lot can happen between now and the election Sunday. But I don't think the way they're playing and the way their schedule is, I don't see them getting anything lower than a 6. Could get as high as a 2, depending on how the Big Ten tournament goes and how they do against other Big Ten foes this year. So the Spartans will be there. I think they're a very good team, well-coached team, and they're always they always play a tough schedule.
Now, Tom Weiss may be listening. Tom Weiss is the biggest Butler Bulldog fan in Israel. He'll certainly claim that, and I certainly don't think there's any reason to doubt him. Butler's had some very impressive wins. They beat Indiana. They're ranked 9 in the AP Bowl. Talk about the Butler Bulldogs, why they're doing so well, and where you see them potentially going in the tournament.
Well, they have a great coach. It's great that they have him. He could really go to any big school that he wants, but he's a great coach. They've got some great talent. Obviously, they don't maybe have like the NBA-type talent that they've had in the past, but they still have a lot of talent. They're a well-balanced team, and I watched that game against Gonzaga. They had the buzzer-beater win. It was a thrilling win. They're just a very good team. And when you have a great coach who can recruit players that can play together as one unit, which is what Butler does as a mid-major program, you can really beat anybody. Now, are they going to make another run to the championship game? I don't know about that, but we didn't really think they would do that when they actually did. So I think they're one of the best mid-major programs around. They're going to stay that way as long as the coach is there, and they have a great reputation now. And there's a lot of great basketball going on in Indiana right now with Butler, and, of course, the University of Indiana, the Hoosiers, having a great year. So I think Butler's here to stay. I can definitely see them getting somewhere around a 4 or 5 seed for the tournament and making a run to the Sweet 16, if not better.
All right, I got to get some information about my Arizona Wildcats, even though I went to Arizona State. But when it comes to college basketball, I all of a sudden become a U of A fan for some weird reason. It could be, they're the much better team. They're at a 3, and they could get to a 1 if Duke loses. Depending on if things go down, they very well could get a 1 seed. They're probably going to get a 1 seed if things stay the way they are in the tournament, in their bracket. What's U of A's success been like? And tell us where your expectations.
I'm sorry, Howard, you broke up at the end there. What was the question?
Why is U of A doing so well? What has been their secret to their success?
They have a lot of talent this year, and I think that they played some good games. They beat San Diego State. I think they've got some talent, and they've always been able to get some talent over the years. And I always, it's no offense to you, Ari, over there on the West Coast, Arizona, California, but those Pac-12 teams, I just feel like they're a little bit weaker than some of the other conferences around the country, like the Power 6, like the Big 10, Big 12, ACC, Big East. I just think they're one of the weaker conferences. And I think I've seen that with the up and down fluctuation of some of the teams like UCLA. Oregon's been doing pretty well as well this year. But I think we'll see. If I had to put money on it, I don't think Arizona's going to end up with a 1. I think that they'll probably end up with a 2 or a 3. And even if they got the 1, I don't know if they'd be able to handle the pressure of the 1 just because they're not used to having that number 1 seed. A lot of pressure comes with getting that number 1 seed. So I think they're more of like a 2 or 3 seed. I think obviously they'll have no problem in the first round. Then they'll probably get a tough matchup in the second round. But they can make some noise. I mean, we'll see how they do the rest of the year in Pac-12 play. There are some decent teams in the Pac-12 this year. So we'll see how they play and if they can hold strong. But they've been a fun team to watch. I've watched them a little bit. Obviously here on the East Coast, we don't get to see the West Coast team as much. But I watched them a little bit. They've got some talent on that team.
Now, let's talk about Syracuse. Now, in the AP, they're ranked 3. USA Today has them ranked a little bit lower, ranked at 4. So Syracuse could make some noise. Obviously, when you have the coaching staff like they do, they've won a title in 2003. That was the Carmelo Anthony days. McNamara was a freshman back then as well. You know, Jimmy Boeheim, one of the best Hall of Fame coach, one of the best that's ever lived, even though he only has that 1 title. So talk about Syracuse and what do you expect from them in the tournament?
Well, I watched them beat Louisville. I watched most of that game. They are talented from top to bottom. They have great guards. They have great front court play. Obviously, like you said, the coaching staff, Jim Boeheim, one of the best ever. And I think that I would put them up there in the top 5 as maybe getting one of those number 1 seeds, depending on how things go in the Big East. Now, Louisville, who had been number 1 last week, and this week I believe they're like number 5. They just lost to the Villanova Wildcats last night here in Philadelphia, so they're going to drop. So in terms of the best team in the Big East, I would put Syracuse right up there. Obviously, Duke is having a heck of a season. Indiana, Michigan, Arizona, they're all in the mix for a number 1 seed as well. But I think Syracuse has as good a chance as anybody with the talent that they have. And they have a lot of talent from around here in Philadelphia as well. And they have a great point guard, a very athletic point guard. They've got some very athletic bigs as well. And I think they could hang with anybody in the entire country.
I think so, too. And, again, in the tournament, the number 1 variable, in my opinion, is backcourt play. But then after that, I think it's the coaching. And I think that Boeheim, Krzyzewski, all these people that have been there, done that, it just gives them a lot more confidence going into the tournament. So I think it's something everyone could be proud of, be very careful if you're playing them, obviously. Let's go to VCU, because VCU a few years ago made that improbable run to the Final Four. Shaka Smart, people talk about him being one of the best coaches, young coaches out there. Could have probably gotten big money to go somewhere else. Talk about VCU. They're ranked in the top 20, so they'll probably get a 5 seed. They could make some noise, maybe a Sweet 16 run. What do you expect from VCU this season in college basketball?
Well, I think VCU is one of the best teams in the country, mid-major and just overall. Shaka Smart, you mentioned, he is a great young coach. I've had the opportunity to watch VCU up close. I actually called the Drexel VCU game a couple of years ago with the legendary Dean Baker here in Philadelphia. It was a great game. I've seen VCU up close. Obviously, they graduated some of the guys from the past couple of years, obviously from that Final Four team, but they've got some great young players. Javante Reddick is a great big man in the middle. Bradford Burgess, who graduated last year, his little brother's on the team now. And Theus, the guard for VCU, is playing extremely well as well. They always have great shooters. They have a great system. They play great, tough defense. That's something that CAA teams are really known for. And now that VCU is in the Atlantic 10, they're kind of bringing that over to the A-10. They've played some tough teams so far. They beat St. Joe's. They beat Temple. They beat Xavier. So they've beaten some of the top teams in the A-10, really proving that they belong in that conference. And I think they'll definitely be there in the NCAA tournament. I think they'll get anywhere between a 4 and 7 seed, depending on how the rest of the season goes. And they'll definitely have a chance to make a run to the Sweet 16. They are just a great program, and Shaka Smart at VCU is lucky to have him.
Yeah, VCU, again, there's some players on that team, the freshmen of the Final Four year that will be sticking around this year. So that experience was probably the third variable with being successful in the national championship run in March Madness. So I don't think there's any dispute there. Let's get off college basketball, and I've asked this question earlier in the show. I'm going to ask this a few times. I want to know your thoughts on Phil Mickelson complaining about his taxes. He complained about it, doesn't like the Obama tax plan. He's now kind of reverted from that because he got a lot of flack. The average guy that's making $30,000 a year doesn't want to hear complaints about a guy making $30 million a year. But does he have a legitimate claim about him being taxed?
I'm sorry, you're breaking up a little bit. What was it? I missed the last 5 seconds. I'm sorry.
No problem. We got to get you a new phone, Ari. But basically, Phil Mickelson's been complaining about his taxes. So what were your thoughts about him making over $30 million a year and then complaining about his finances?
Oh, yeah. I did hear you talk about his taxes. I did hear the story briefly. I saw it on ESPN.com briefly. You're making $30 million a year. I understand, you're in the higher tax bracket because I do accounting as well in addition to my sports stuff. When you're in a higher tax bracket, obviously you're going to be paying more tax. But, that the tax rates, you make a lot of money, you're going to have to pay a lot to the government. That's just the way it is. If you don't want to pay a lot to the government, then invest your money in the stock market. You're paying a lower tax rate on your capital gains. There is ways around it. Don't come out and publicly criticize the tax system. That's just the way it is. You're making a ton of money. You're not going to get any sympathy from your average guy who's making $40,000 to $50,000 a year, if that. So he's just going to have to deal with it, and he'll have to. There are ways to work around it in the tax code, so he's just going to have to deal with it. I don't want to hear him complaining about it.
And besides, if he really has a problem with it, this was also said a lot on ESPN. This was said a few times. You can go to Florida because they don't have income tax, and he could save some money. And a lot of golfers live in Florida, not just because of the weather, but for that very reason. So if he really has a problem with it, he can do it that way. It doesn't really bother me so much. Last question, Ari, before we let you go. Super Bowl 47, Baltimore Ravens versus the San Francisco 49ers. Give us who is going to win and give us a score.
Wow. Oh, I'm going to go 49ers beat the Ravens in a close game. I'm going to say the Niners win 27-24, a game-winning field goal by former Philadelphia Eagle David Akers.
See, it always has to be something with Philadelphia at the end. But David Akers, David Akers has had his struggles. They're still going with them. It very well could come down to a field goal. All 3 predictions we've had on the show have all been close. So everyone expects this to be a close game. And at this point, 2 predictions for the 49ers, 1 for the Ravens. All right, Ari, thank you so much for being on Lewis Live on Israel Sports Radio. Enjoy Super Bowl 47, and we will be in touch. All right, that was Ari Bluestein, Israel Sports Radio's East Coast correspondent, coming on the program, talk a little bit about college basketball. Phil Mickelson and his prediction, he likes the 49ers to win in a close battle. Before we go to commercial break, I want to remind everyone to check out the Israel Sports Radio store by clicking on the store tab. If you're listening to us on TuneIn or Wonder Radio, go over to our website. Again, it's IsraelSportsRadio.com. Click on the store tab. We have great items such as T-shirts, hats, books, and yarmulkes with your favorite team on them. Price does include shipping, and we do ship throughout the entire world. So, again, that's the Israel Sports Radio store. We will be bringing you new items. We're working on getting a special Purim program out there, so keep an eye on that. Of course, Purim is, I believe, 4 weeks away at this point, somewhere around there. So you want to get some gifts, some friends. Obviously, a yarmulke with their favorite sports team is a nice touch. So keep that in mind and look at the sports tab, the store tab on Israel Sports Radio. Also, a programming note regarding local football here in the Holy Land. The IFL is having their weekend as usual. A couple of close games have occurred recently, so if you want some close football to watch, exciting football, live football, you like the taste of the playoffs that has left in your mouth, you can see live football coming at you, live action in real time. The first game of the IFL weekend is tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m., at Ramat Sharon as the Judean Rebels take on the Ramat Sharon Hammers. Again, that's 8:30 p.m. Friday morning at 10:30 a.m. at Tel Aviv University, the Troopers take on the Tel Aviv Pioneers. Of course, the Pioneers made it to the title game last season, almost won the game, almost beat Tel Aviv Sabres, had that fumble right at the end. Pioneers doing very well this season, so that should be a fun game. And then Saturday night out in Beersheba, the Beersheba Black Swarm hosts the Silverbacks. Silverbacks have been having a great season so far, led by Dr. Keith Noble, who played some college football at Ohio State. He was a walk-on out there. We're going to take a commercial break. We're going to have more Lewis Live on the other side. We'll have, of course, more breakdown of Super Bowl 47. This is Lewis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
In the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Hey folks, Kagan here. As you know, I'm always staying on top of the fitness world, keeping up with current trends. One form of exercise that's been around for ages and is currently being rediscovered is suspension bodyweight training. So if you're looking for a way to get in shape, improve your health, and train your body to move in new ways, then the X1 by Israel Gym Systems is for you. Find out more on our website at www.israelgym.com or look for our page on Facebook, Israel Gym Systems X1. Israel Gym X1. Higia Hazman.
You're already using a credit card every day. Why not feel good every time you make a purchase? When using the HAS Advantage Support Israel Visa card, a percentage of each purchase you make will be donated to your choice of 24 Israeli-based charities, while still earning a reward point for every dollar spent. But wait, these rewards are even better than the standard rewards you get, especially when using them towards Israel travel, with the best conversion rate on El Al's Matmeed Frequent Flyer program. Earn double points at some of your favorite supermarkets and restaurants in the U.S., as well as discounts all over Israel. If you love traveling and supporting Israel, HAS Advantage is the card for you. Just give us a call toll-free at 1-866-6-ISRAEL. Sign up right now with the code ISR10 to earn 2,500 bonus points. That's 1-866-647-7235. HAS Advantage. Earn rewards. Support Israel. Offer valid for U.S. citizens only. Terms and conditions do apply. When dialing from within Israel, please dial 1-800-200-818.
Israel Sports Dynamics specializes in football consulting, equipment, uniforms, and more. Great brands such as Nike, Russell Athletics, Schutt Sports Products, and many more. Just one call away. With over 30 years coaching experience with university and professional athletes, Terry Hill, owner of ISD, can advise you for all your sports needs. Call 054-581-3248. That's 054-581-3248, or visit our website at www.isdisrael.com. If that's not easy enough, click on the ISD banner on the Israel Sports Radio website and be part of the game.
Are you tired of paying for expensive gym memberships that you don't use? Are you frustrated by not seeing results? It's time for the X1. Israel Gym Systems is proud to launch the X1 suspension and bodyweight training system. Lose weight, build muscle, improve balance, coordination, and flexibility. With your purchase of the X1, you'll receive a free membership to IsraelGym.com and access to our archives of videos and exercise plans. Sign up today at www.IsraelGym.com and get ready for the new you. Israel Gym X1. Higia Hazman.
Broadcasting live from Israel.
IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Back here on Lewis Live on Israel Sports Radio, and our thanks again to Israel Sports Radio's East Coast correspondent Ari Bluestein for coming on the program, talking Phil Mickelson, college basketball, and, of course, Super Bowl 47. Coming on the line in a few moments will be Broncos Mike. So we have not had Broncos Mike on since the Broncos lost to the Falcons and Joe Flacco, and that 30-second play right at the end to Jones, which they were not playing a proper prevent, or I still don't know what the heck happened exactly. So hopefully we'll get Broncos Mike on and discuss that with him, and I'm sure he's got one or two thoughts about the Tim Tebow issue, as he thought Tim Tebow should have never left the Broncos in the first place. So hopefully we'll get Broncos Mike on in a few moments, and if we have some difficulty getting in touch with him, we will take a commercial break and get him on the line. Broncos Mike is very, very busy in New York City with his work with the Denver Broncos. So let's actually take a quick break, and we'll try to get him on. We're having a little difficulty getting in touch with him. So we'll get Broncos Mike hopefully after this commercial break. This is Lewis live on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Hey folks, Kagan here. As you know, I'm always staying on top of the fitness world, keeping up with current trends. One form of exercise that's been around for ages and is currently being rediscovered is suspension bodyweight training. So if you're looking for a way to get in shape, improve your health, and train your body to move in new ways, then the X1 by Israel Gym Systems is for you. Find out more on our website at www.israelgym.com or look for our page on Facebook, Israel Gym Systems X1. Israel Gym X1. Higia Hazman.
You're already using a credit card every day. Why not feel good every time you make a purchase? When using the HAS Advantage Support Israel Visa card, a percentage of each purchase you make will be donated to your choice of 24 Israeli-based charities, while still earning a reward point for every dollar spent. But wait, these rewards are even better than the standard rewards you get, especially when using them towards Israel travel, with the best conversion rate on El Al's Matmeed Frequent Flyer program. Earn double points at some of your favorite supermarkets and restaurants in the U.S., as well as discounts all over Israel. If you love traveling and supporting Israel, HAS Advantage is the card for you. Just give us a call toll-free at 1-866-6-ISRAEL. Sign up right now with the code ISR10 to earn 2,500 bonus points. That's 1-866-647-7235. HAS Advantage. Earn rewards. Support Israel. Offer valid for U.S. citizens only. Terms and conditions do apply. When dialing from within Israel, please dial 1-800-200-818.
Israel Sports Dynamics specializes in football consulting, equipment, uniforms, and more. Great brands such as Nike, Russell Athletics, Schutt Sports Products, and many more. Just one call away. With over 30 years coaching experience with university and professional athletes, Harry Hill, owner of ISD, can advise you for all your sports needs. Call 054-581-3248. That's 054-581-3248, or visit our website at www.isdisrael.com. If that's not easy enough, click on the ISD banner on the Israel Sports Radio website and be part of the game.
Are you tired of paying for expensive gym memberships that you don't use? Are you frustrated by not seeing results? It's time for the X1. Israel Gym Systems is proud to launch the X1 suspension and bodyweight training system. Lose weight, build muscle, improve balance, coordination, and flexibility. With your purchase of the X1, you'll receive a free membership to IsraelGym.com and access to our archives of videos and exercise plans. Sign up today at www.IsraelGym.com and get ready for the new you. Israel Gym X1. Higia Hazman.
Broadcasting live from Israel.
IsraelSportsRadio.com.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Hey folks, Kagan here. As you know, I'm always staying on top of the fitness world, keeping up with current trends. One form of exercise that's been around for ages and is currently being rediscovered is suspension bodyweight training. So if you're looking for a way to get in shape, improve your health, and train your body to move in new ways, then the X1 by Israel Gym Systems is for you. Find out more on our website at www.israelgym.com or look for our page on Facebook, Israel Gym Systems X1. Israel Gym X1. Higia Hazman.
You're already using a credit card every day. Why not feel good every time you make a purchase? When using the HAS Advantage Support Israel Visa card, a percentage of each purchase you make will be donated to your choice of 24 Israeli-based charities, while still earning a reward point for every dollar spent. But wait, these rewards are even better than the standard rewards you get, especially when using them towards Israel travel, with the best conversion rate on El Al's Matmeed Frequent Flyer program. Earn double points at some of your favorite supermarkets and restaurants in the U.S., as well as discounts all over Israel. If you love traveling and supporting Israel, HAS Advantage is the card for you. Just give us a call toll-free at 1-866-6-ISRAEL. Sign up right now with the code ISR10 to earn 2,500 bonus points. That's 1-866-647-7235. HAS Advantage. Earn rewards. Support Israel. Offer valid for U.S. citizens only. Terms and conditions do apply. When dialing from within Israel, please dial 1-800-200-818.
Israel Sports Dynamics specializes in football consulting, equipment, uniforms, and more. Great brands such as Nike, Russell Athletics, Schutt Sports Products, and many more. Just one call away. With over 30 years coaching experience with university and professional athletes, Terry Hill, owner of ISD, can advise you for all your sports needs. Call 054-581-3248. That's 054-581-3248, or visit our website at www.isdisrael.com. If that's not easy enough, click on the ISD banner on the Israel Sports Radio website and be part of the game.
All right, back here on Lewis Live on Israel Sports Radio, fun-filled show already. Of course, it's live radio, folks. That's why it's called Lewis Live, and this is the Super Bowl show. So we do expect a couple of kinks to happen. Obviously, a lot of our people are press people, and they have to kind of get called the last minute to do other articles or work for other broadcast organizations. So we do expect some glitches to occur, but we're going to try to provide the best information and entertainment that we can until midnight and get you as much information we can about not only Super Bowl 47, but things in the sporting world, news in the sporting world. So we may have to juggle a few things, but bear with us. It will be worth it. On the line right now.
Hey, Ari.
That's right. You're on the air right now, Aaron Krolik, because we
Aaron
need
Krolik.
you. We need you. It's the host of Monday Afternoon Quarterback on Tuesday evenings.
Hey, Ari.
Yes, sir.
Can you call me on my cell phone?
Yes, if you message me on Facebook, I can. I don't want to broadcast that through the air.
I just did.
Oh, you just did? Okay, we're going to call you back in about 10 seconds. Hold on.
Okay, cool.
All right, so Aaron's going to come on in about 10 seconds, and Aaron's been very, very passionate about a lot of different things. He thought John Fox perhaps should have been fired for the move to kneel the ball down with 30 seconds left and not have Peyton Manning throw it. He also didn't like the fact John Fox wasted not just 2 timeouts. He didn't use the 2 timeouts in the second half. He did not use 1 timeout in the first, which means John Fox left 5 timeouts on the table in that divisional game against the Baltimore Ravens. And now on the line, the host of Monday Afternoon Quarterback on Tuesday evenings, Aaron Krolik. Aaron, how you doing?
Hello, Ari Lewis.
All right. Well, Aaron sounds like he's in a great mood, even though your team is not there, but you have a lot of experience. Obviously, you've seen the 49ers up close and personal. You've seen the Ravens. But before we get that breakdown, let's talk about the title games. What were some things that stuck out for you, both in the NFC and AFC title games?
We have basically, we saw what we've talked about, New England not being able to, just not looking like their normal selves the whole season. There was always something fishy. Baltimore just going in there and winning on heart. They looked more like they look like they have the most explosive team, perhaps even in the NFL. Just guys like Golden are so underrated. They outplayed the Patriots, and Belichick had some questionable calls. Brady wasn't on the money. Welker dropped some passes. You can point to a lot of things in that game, but in the end, Baltimore just played better.
All right,
the other game,
basically, Aaron,
was Colin Kaepernick, facing what Russell Wilson faced the week prior. They were both down big in the first half, and everyone thought the game was over. And both guys led their team back against Falcons. Of course, Seattle lost. But this week, Kaepernick got them, and they looked awesome. I mean, San Francisco looks like a really fast team on that turf. It's going to be a lights-out game in New Orleans. Cannot wait. San Francisco looks to be the most balanced of the two teams. But, gosh, I sure as heck wouldn't want to bet against Ray Lewis in his last game. The Ravens might just be due, and Flacco is just due for one, it seems like. Flacco is ready to move up to that next echelon of quarterbacks for sure, the way he's played throughout his whole career in the playoffs. And this season, I think he's had 8 touchdowns, no interceptions. I mean, he could very well go on, win MVP, get his huge contract, live happily ever after, and that could be Joe Flacco's story.
Yeah,
and remember that Steelers player. Remember that I tweeted Ari. Remember when that Steelers player? I can't remember his name. It might have been Lamar Woodley, like 4 years ago or 3 years ago. He was talking trash, saying Joe Flacco will never get his team to a Super Bowl.
Right, that's
and
right.
It was like remember he came out with that big statement before, and like it was like at that time people were like, Flacco, maybe, maybe not. And now, like, gosh, is there any doubt?
I think I'm going to double check this, but I believe that was the year of Super Bowl 43 when the Steelers got to the game against the Cardinals because they beat the Ravens in the title game. So I think you're right there.
Yeah, they were talking. The Pittsburgh Steelers were talking a lot of They were talking a lot of trash that year, and they ended up, I think, winning the whole thing. And I mean, it was a lot of trash being talked between the two. But God, like, had the Ravens really just hung in there as a team, and I mean, that's what you have to do. I mean, just like you have to get everyone healthy, and you got to get everyone playing right, and you got to make that 4th and 27. What if Ray Rice doesn't make that 4th and 27 play at San Diego?
They
don't even get into the playoffs.
Yeah, they don't get the playoffs, right.
What if Jacoby Jones doesn't catch that bomb? I mean, what if Denver, it's just so many what ifs. And now we're dealing with, like, we go from out of the playoffs to what if to now in the playoffs to now Super Bowl and to now what, champions? I mean, it's just been a crazy ride, and we see this more often than not every year. Some team gets hot going into the playoffs, and it's really exciting. This is why we have a very short memory span, I think, as human beings. I think we like the hot thing, we like winners, but, like, we got to remember that every time around this time of year, like, some team just comes to play, whether it's Green Bay, a couple years ago, whether it's been the Giants making a run. I mean, the underdog has really prevailed in the NFL, I would say, under this system. And now we have the Ravens, who are certainly the underdog. It's crazy that they're an underdog against a team led by this guy, Colin Kaepernick, who wasn't even starting this season. I mean, right? Jim Harbaugh is a second-year coach, and he's got this team playing incredible. It's crazy that we're even talking about the 49ers being this dominant with, I don't know.
Look,
no one expected this. I'll tell you that.
There is so much to talk about regarding this game. But first of all, I'm going to argue with you I would contend, maybe not an argument, that Jim Harbaugh is the best coach in the NFL because before he got there, the 49ers were terrible. They were absolutely terrible. They, I believe, had a 5-win season. Alex Smith was a nobody. Harbaugh comes in, and in his first 2 years, they have 2 NFC title appearances and now a Super Bowl appearance at minimum.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I agree with you 100%.
Now, Lamar Woodley, you are correct. He did say, this was his quote that he tweeted. He said that Joe Flacco wouldn't go to the Super Bowl in this lifetime. So pretty harsh words from Woodley. And Woodley now can enjoy on his couch watching Flacco in the Super Bowl.
If that doesn't give somebody something to post on their wall every morning to give them motivation to go to work, right?
Yeah, exactly. And Flacco said, this was his response. Flacco responded, obviously doesn't know what he's talking about. At some level, I don't care because what does that really mean? But there is another level where it does kind of tick you off a little bit. I think Flacco has a chip on his shoulder, not just from the tweet comment, but in general, people have not given him a lot of respect.
Yeah. And he's consistently, this is his 5th year. I mean, we're getting old, Ari. I mean, believe it or not, Flacco's been in the league 5 years. And he's taken his team to the playoffs every year, and he's won playoff games, and he's won road games. And look at the Ravens. The Ravens, they've been flashing it all postseason, but the Ravens' postseason record, in their history is the best in the NFL. I think they're like 13-7. The Ravens have the best postseason record in NFL history.
I did not know that. Thank you, Aaron Krolik.
That's a big, crazy number. Now, the crazy thing is not only that, but then you have the 49ers who just don't lose when they go to the Super Bowl.
5-0. That's correct. That is correct.
Some number is going to lose here. Somebing is going to happen that no one is going to expect, because that's just what the numbers suggest.
Now, the interesting thing with Flacco, I want you to elaborate on this. I brought this up earlier. Experience-wise, Colin Kaepernick's played in 9 NFL games, period, and Joe Flacco's played in 12. As you mentioned, he got a playoff win in each of his first 5 seasons in the NFL. That's a record. He has, we might talk about him. I'm not saying the greatest playoff quarterback of all time, but he's going to be up there. He's kind of the Ben Roethlisberger right now. Ben Roethlisberger has an excellent record in the postseason. So does Flacco. So if you're a 49ers fan, are you bothered by the fact that the other guy has more experience in the postseason than your guy does, period?
No, Ari. I think it's just a totally different team. That's why I don't take into any account the fact that the Ravens in 2011 over Thanksgiving, remember they hosted the 49ers on Thanksgiving. And they beat them 16-6.
Correct.
Are we dealing with the same team that the 49ers had then? The same team the Ravens had then? No. It's totally different. So all things being equal, which team do you want on the field right now? Forgetting experience. And the experience is a huge thing, but neither of these teams have, Flacco hasn't been to the Super Bowl.
That's true.
You can't discount Super Bowl experience. So anything can happen in the Super Bowl. So I think that, if I'm the 49ers, wow, I'm loving this kid. I'm loving the way Frank Gore is running the ball, the way that they're using Frank Gore. He's been healthy the whole season. Quietly, he might be up there top 5 MVPs. Frank Gore had a crazy season this year, Ari Lewis.
He's had a crazy career.
Yeah, but he's been, you're right. He was overused, though, in the beginning as a running back, and now it took Harbaugh to get in there to get some other running backs.
Yeah.
Even LaMichael James had a touchdown, right? He's getting other guys in the mix to keep the guys fresh, like Gore, and, he's really a great coach. You can see he made a conscious effort to take care of Frank Gore this season.
You know what? And that's a smart move. It's a smart move because Frank Gore is about to approach 30. Running backs usually fall off around this age. He's had over almost 9,000 yards. He might have a little more gas left. I'll be curious what will happen with Frank Gore in the future. Will he turn into?
It's no surprise it's no big news that Harbaugh has a really big crush on Frank Gore. Okay? A big man crush. So he'll be there. He'll be there in that backfield as long as he's there and healthy. Frank Gore's got some miles left on him. So they're terrific. Michael Crabtree goes and grabs balls out of the air. Vernon Davis is like a beast when he gets the ball in his hands. Kaepernick can scramble. Their kicker's lousy, but who cares?
Who cares that their kicker's lousy? This could come down to a field goal kick.
I know.
They might regret not cutting him. They very well might regret not cutting David Akers. Let's talk about the brother.
Well, that's I guess Harbaugh put him in Billy Cundiff or whoever he brought in for the he brought in some free agent kicker, and they went into he had a kicking competition. And I guess Akers won it. So he stuck with Akers, and he cut the other guy. He went with Akers, so we'll see.
You know what? Kicking on a practice field with no one around and not 100 million people watching, that's a whole different ballgame. Of course, the problem is you don't know what they're going to do until the situation comes. You don't know Adam Vinatieri is going to be Adam Vinatieri until he makes those kicks.
Mm-hmm. Well, once again, though, we're indoors. Not that makes it any easy. Well, it could make it a lot easier. It's going to be a fast Super Bowl. Remember what San Francisco did at New Orleans this year. Remember, they won at New Orleans. That's a fast turf.
It is a fast turf, yes.
we have two teams that have explosive capability of over 20 yards. You know, they can go. They could put 6, 7, 8 plays of over 20 yards together. That's big playability. I mean, this game could get really out of control early. I mean, in terms of points. And I don't think that any team that gets out, even if one team gets out to a lead, I think we'll see a team come back. Just kind of like we have with, like, you know, these other games. I just think the nature of these playoffs and Super Bowls are just so close. We're not going to see a blowout. When's the last time there was like a legit blowout in the Super Bowl?
You know what? This might.
Back?
Well, you know what? I was going to say
49ers or like.
Well, I'd say like this. Going through my mind.
Tampa Bay won.
Tampa Bay, yeah.
Tampa Bay won in 2002 by a large number.
Super Bowl 30.
That at least had a lot of points.
7.
I don't know. I don't recall any other like not close Super Bowl in recent history, at least in the last.
Well, that's the whole. That's what I'm saying.
Down the list. We could go down the list of every Super Bowl and say what was probably the deciding factor from a kick to a catch. Let's see if we can do it. Let's start at 19. Let's start at 2000 even.
If you go to 2000, that was the year the Ravens beat the Giants. That was a blowout. Okay.
Right.
Now the next season, Rams Patriots. That was Vinatieri's kick.
Okay.
So that was close there.
Close game.
Tampa Bay then crushes the Raiders. That was a blowout. Then the Patriots play the Jaguars. That also came. Excuse me, Carolina Panthers.
I remember that.
Great game. That was a little bit of everything in that game. Vinatieri kicks again. They win 32-29. It was a short kick, but still good there. The next year, Patriots play the Eagles. That's the Terrell Owens game. That was a close game. Then the Steelers play the Seahawks, and bad referee calls, but the Seahawks had their chances all the way to the end. At 41,
they will always. That game was very close, and Seattle will, to this day, Matt Hasselbeck, and everyone will say that they were robbed.
They were. Even a referee 5 years later admitted that they made terrible calls. They absolutely robbed them. The next one stings a bit, but that's Colts-Bears. Bears had their chances. Grossman throws those 2 picks in the fourth quarter. I still wouldn't call that a blowout. Obviously, it was a close game, but the Bears lost there.
Right. Also, you know what? That's right. That was not. And the only cool thing about that game, if you were a Bears fan, was Devin Hester returning the opening kickoff for a touchdown.
Yeah, he was sensational throughout the whole year, and I don't even know why the Colts kicked to him, but they did, and they didn't do that for the rest of the game. Then you have Super Bowl 42. That's Giants-Patriots. So obviously that was a close game. They win right at the end, the Giants. 43 was Steelers-Cardinals. That one stains for me. Cardinals had the lead, and Roethlisberger marches them down and hits Antonio Holmes.
Incredible.
Then 44 was Saints-Colts, where Manning had a chance, but at the end throws the interception. Okay, and Drew Brees
also they had the onside kick. A lot of memories in that game.
At the beginning of the second half. That was a great move by Sean Payne. It took a lot of chutzpah, a lot of guts. He does the onside kick, and if they messed that up, I think they would have lost the game. But that was very smart of him to do that at the end because it paid off. Super Bowl 45, Packers-Steelers. Steelers had their chances. I would say the fumble from the running game, that really cost them, but that was a close game. Then you have Super Bowl 46 last year, another close game. So you're right. The last about 10 years have been pretty close. But are we mathematically due now for a blowout? That's what I'm worried about. That we have all these close games.
Yeah, you could definitely spin it that way. We could be mathematically due for a blowout. There's no question in my mind.
That's the last. That would be terrible. I mean, because I really think this game could be so close. I think it'll be within at least a touchdown, and I want to see a close game. Obviously, I think everybody does.
You are going to see. Oh, you're not. See, Ari, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Is I think like these teams plan. They had a game plan to run Colin Kaepernick against Green Bay. That was their game plan. They didn't game plan the same way against Atlanta, okay? And you're going to see these teams come out with a whole, different they're going to have different schemes for each other. And I don't think that they're going to be able to blow each other out. That's my point.
Okay.
I think that the defenses are going to be surprised. I think that the Ravens defense still doesn't know what's going to hit them with the pistol and the way how awesome they execute it, San Francisco. And I don't think San Francisco is necessarily going to have an answer for dealing with the really physical Anquan Bolden and dealing with Torrey Smith and these other guys who are really, really solid playmakers. And we haven't even thrown in the name Ray Rice. So, I mean, if you look at these two teams, they're pretty mirror image of each other, except for the fact that Flacco is the utmost kind of pocket quarterback and Kaepernick is the opposite.
He's more of a runner, yeah.
Correct. But, like, the way that the Ravens play and score points, and they are definitely explosive. They're just more explosive. I mean, you can't even say, like, they just don't have the ability to scramble like Kaepernick does. But that doesn't mean that Ray Rice or they can't screen pass, and they have Dennis Pitta. I mean, at tight end, they have a lot of weapons on Baltimore. And if Flacco is turned loose and allowed to throw, like everyone hopes he is, or he's allowed to throw because the guy's got the sickest arm, Baltimore can win. And I want to say, are you there?
Yeah. Obviously, Baltimore could win, of course.
You got to give a lot of credit to Jim Caldwell. Even though, like, you know, a lot of lucky things happened to the Ravens this year, and, I mean, we'll leave it at that. You need luck every year. But, like, 4th and 27, if you're 4th and 25, you lose the, you know what I'm saying? Just stuff like that. We'll just leave. But he came in, Jim Caldwell, when Cam Cameron was fired, when the Ravens lost, 4 or 5 straight, and no one, I mean, we could have almost lost lost a playoff berth. And Jim Caldwell, the former Colts coach, came in and, like, he really, I think he gave a lift to the offense. I think, like, he's opened up the playbook a little bit more for Flacco, a lot more.
Well, you saw that in the third quarter last week. You saw that. They gave him the ball. They said, go win this game for us. And he did. He absolutely did. Stepped to the challenge and got it done.
Hey, Ari, what I want to do is I want to take a break for 3 minutes and then call me back.
All right, we'll take a commercial break. Aaron Krolik is just that popular to demand a commercial break. We'll take a commercial break. We'll have more with Aaron Krolik, and then we'll have on Tank and good stuff. So we'll take a commercial break and back with Aaron Krolik after this. This is Lewis Live on Israel Sports Radio. Again, a reminder to check out the Israel Sports Radio store by clicking on the store tab. Great items such as T-shirts, hats, books, and much, much more. That's the store tab on Israel Sports Radio. This is Lewis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Hey folks, Kagan here. As you know, I'm always staying on top of the fitness world, keeping up with current trends. One form of exercise that's been around for ages and is currently being rediscovered is suspension bodyweight training. So if you're looking for a way to get in shape, improve your health, and train your body to move in new ways, then the X1 by Israel Gym Systems is for you. Find out more on our website at www.israelgym.com or look for our page on Facebook, Israel Gym Systems X1. Israel Gym X1. Higia Hazman.
You're already using a credit card every day. Why not feel good every time you make a purchase? When using the HAS Advantage Support Israel Visa card, a percentage of each purchase you make will be donated to your choice of 24 Israeli-based charities, while still earning a reward point for every dollar spent. But wait, these rewards are even better than the standard rewards you get, especially when using them towards Israel travel, with the best conversion rate on El Al's Matmeed frequent flyer program. Earn double points at some of your favorite supermarkets and restaurants in the U.S. U.S., as well as discounts all over Israel. If you love traveling and supporting Israel, HAS Advantage is the card for you. Just give us a call toll-free at 1-866-6-ISRAEL. Sign up right now with the code ISR10 to earn 2,500 bonus points. That's 1-866-647-7235. HAS Advantage. Earn rewards. Support Israel. Offer valid for U.S. citizens only. Terms and conditions do apply. When dialing from within Israel, please dial 1-800-200-818.
Israel Sports Dynamics specializes in football consulting, equipment, uniforms, and more. Great brands such as Nike, Russell Athletics, Schutt Sports Products, and many more. Just one call away. With over 30 years coaching experience with university and professional athletes, Terry Hill, owner of ISD, can advise you for all your sports needs. Call 054-581-3248. That's 054-581-3248, or visit our website at www.isdisrael.com. If that's not easy enough, click on the ISD banner on the Israel Sports Radio website and be part of the game.
Are you tired of paying for expensive gym memberships that you don't use? Are you frustrated by not seeing results? It's time for the X1. Israel Gym Systems is proud to launch the X1 suspension and bodyweight training system. Lose weight, build muscle, improve balance, coordination, and flexibility. With your purchase of the X1, you'll receive a free membership to IsraelGym.com and access to our archives of videos and exercise plans. Sign up today at www.IsraelGym.com and get ready for the new you. Israel Gym X1. Higia Hazman.